Welcome to the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Mitchell, founder and CEO of Moyo Institute and lifelong spiritual seeker and energy worker. Here for thoughtful conversations about health, healing, and happiness by, for, and about Black and African American women. Disclaimer, the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast does not provide medical advice. The opinions, experiences, and insights shared are for informational purposes only. Nothing shared in this podcast is intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. Don't disregard or delay seeking it because of what you've heard on this podcast. Thank you. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome to Love Letters to Our Bodies, conversations on health, healing, and happiness for, by, and about Black women. I'm Gwen Mitchell, your host. I'm happy to have with me today Dr. Leia Love. With over 2 decades of experience and advanced degrees in both business and cosmetology, Dr. Love holds a doctorate of professional cosmetology. Her passion lies in helping women reclaim their confidence, especially those who have undergone mastectomies, by offering life-changing 3D areola tattooing and scar camouflage services. Her work allows survivors to look in the mirror and feel whole again, blending art and empathy with every procedure. Dr. Love's impact extends far beyond her salon chair. She has served as TV host on PBS Forum 360 and currently sits on boards such as the Black Chamber of Commerce of Summit County and Good Place Holdings. She's a dedicated community advocate. She volunteers with organizations that uplift women, support individuals navigating cancer recovery, and champions small business growth. Whether working with clients or mentoring beauty professionals or speaking on stages, Dr. Leia Love continues to inspire transformation from the inside out, proving that the beauty is not just skin deep, it's soul deep. Welcome, Dr. Love. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am looking forward to this very important conversation.
Yes, so I just want to say that I was really looking over your background and in our preliminary conversation, I was really struck by the fact that you have a spirit of service, and it's something that seems to have been in place for a long time. So I want to acknowledge you for that, because what I recognize is the thing that makes life worthwhile is not just what we gain, but what we also share with others.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining us today. Can you start by telling our listeners who you are and what drew you to this unique intersection of beauty and healing?
Yeah, so my name is Leia Love. I have a doctorate of professional cosmetology. I own a salon that I've been a salon owner now for about 13 years, and I've been a licensed cosmetologist for 21 years. But beauty has always been part of my path. I would say from even like 5 years old, I was polishing nails, and I just knew when I grew up, I was going to name the nail polishes and I was going to do nails. So I always reflect on the fact that I knew I was going to have a salon and I knew I was going to be doing nails. And now I had to retire from doing nails, and I'm doing nothing that I ever thought I would be doing. Even if you would have asked me about 5 years ago that I would be tattooing boobs, I would have never agreed that that would be my journey. But when God has a certain path for you, it just is where you are. And so I said yes to him a long time ago, and I've just been following this journey that he has for me. So that is me in a nutshell. I love to see women love who they see in the mirror. I love to help empower them to live authentically and just allowing them to show up in life gracefully.
Yeah, beautiful. You call yourself the head to toe beauty pro.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, head to numeral 2 toe beauty
Mm-hmm.
pro. What does that mean to you, and how has that philosophy shaped your career?
As a cosmetologist, I'm licensed to do everything from head to toe. And so that's where that phrase kind of came from because I was getting ready for a dance in high school and the hairdresser ran me late. And so I couldn't go get my makeup done. And then I wasn't able to go get my nails done. So it just threw off everything. And I said, I'll never do this to anyone. And so as I was, I guess, getting my game plan together, I said, I already know I do nails and I'm going to be doing hair. And I love doing makeup too. So I was like, okay, I'm going to end up doing everything. And like I said, in cosmetology, you learn everything from waxing, hair, nails, lashes, makeup. You learn it all. So, you have the ability to do what you would like to do, what you want to specialize in. And I wanted to be able to help people not have to go 30,000 places to be able to get their services done.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I understand in our earlier conversation that you have done some work with the American Cancer Society. Can you tell me how that came about and what exactly you did and what inspired you?
Yeah, actually, at the time, I was working on a client who told me that she had lost her lashes when she went through cancer. And I was doing her lashes. And so she said she was so excited that she found me because it was the one thing that never came back. And she was like, oh, I'm just so happy. I really can't even remember at the time now because that had to have been in like 2010 or 11. But I ended up stumbling across this program called Look Good, Feel Better with the American Cancer Society. And so it was designed for cosmetologists who wanted to give back to cancer patients to help them with different beauty needs that they were going to have and go through with treatment. So that's how I got involved with the American Cancer Society at that point. And I was probably with them for about 5 or 6 years. I want to say maybe the year before the pandemic is when they had a whole shift in their model. So a lot of the places that had the program weren't able to continue the funding for that program.
Okay, okay. And in that particular program, Look Good, Feel Good, what kind of services did you offer?
Yeah, look good, feel better. We did a makeup class, we did a skincare class, and they would have a full kit that was donated that everything that we went over, they would be able to have and take home because that sometimes is the biggest challenge. You go somewhere, they use all these products on you, and you don't know how to replicate that look at home. So they were given this full pack, and they were really, really good products too. And then we would do like scarf tying and stuff like that. So when that kind of phased out, that was when we came back from the pandemic and I partnered with Stewart's Caring Place here where I'm at. And they offer free services to cancer patients. And so we created Love Your Look. So we kind of do something similar, but we've added in some other things and we allow some of the beauties, I call them, we allow them to kind of guide us with some of the things that they want to learn about and get knowledgeable about. So if it's like product knowledge or if it's just like the tying the scarves or what do they tell their nail tech if they want to get their nails done? So we can have a little bit more freestyle range with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So take us back to the moment when you decided to add the 3D areola tattooing.
Vanilla tattooing. Yeah. So I'm constantly researching and trying to stay on top of the trends. And so what I can say is at some point between 2018 and 19, I came across areola tattooing, but I ended up losing, well, my dad at the end of 2019 got cancer. And so everything else got kind of put on hold. So I really don't have any recollection of how I initially got into it then. But I do know that a couple years later, I was looking at my vision board and I had areola tattooing on there. And I had just gone to a conference. And at this conference, I was learning about brows, tattoo, permanent brows, permanent cosmetic brows.
Mhm.
And there was a lady there who was from the UK who was talking about areola tattooing. And although I've heard mastectomy and I knew that there was some process of breast removal or tissue removal, something like that, I really did not know the depth and how women were left after that. So to see those images on the screen kind of just really stuck with me that I was like, I can't believe they're left like that. And I have the ability with just my hands to help take away that kind of shame and sting that they may have. So I just kind of went full force with it. there really wasn't even a hesitation. I want to say the next month I was in a course training, and I've taken about maybe 10 different certifications just so I can be fully aware of everything that's going on and really kind of perfect my technique. But yeah, I say that this is my God job because it's, again, something that I had no idea I would be doing. It's like when you get into something and you have this break and then you still come back to it. It's like, you have to do it. So
Mhm.
but it's been so rewarding because to have someone say that they didn't feel like a woman and then to see this completely different aura and shift when they get off the table. And actually, while I'm tattooing, there's this moment where, and I don't know if this is true, but I imagine that from the moment you get that phone call that you have this diagnosis, your breath is kind of just taken away.
Mhm.
And so on the table, as I'm tattooing them, I get this, and it's like this sigh of relief that I'm done. Like I'm at the end of this finish line. I'm getting back to me. So those are the moments that I really, really cherish and love
Mhm.
with this particular job that I get to do.
Brings to mind waiting to exhale.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
letting that sigh of relief come. So the tattooing, the 3D tattooing is really considered like medical tattooing, or is it a category of paramedical
So
tattooing?
it's part of paramedical tattooing, and paramedical tattooing just means it's any type of tattooing that's done post surgery. So that could be the 3D areola tattooing. It could be the brows if you've had medical hair loss. It could be scar camouflage, people who have kind of self harm scars or any type of scars from any type of surgeries or injuries. Any of those are kind of considered more on the paramedical side of tattooing versus the design work of a traditional tattoo.
Was it a steep learning curve? What was that like?
Oh my gosh. The hardest part really for me was making it look like it was 3D and popping out because I feel like I'm a little bit artistic and I know color theory from hair, but I don't draw. I just color. I can paint on things. And so to actually have to use a tattoo machine and create these designs, I just think that was what got me. And I sometimes too much of a perfectionist. And what's interesting is these women are so excited just to have something back there. And then
Mhm.
I'm like, no, I need this extra design and this detail, and it really needs to come out and pop. And they're like, girl, it's fine. But I just, if you've been through so much, I want it to be everything that you deserve. So that's been the hardest part.
Mhm. Beautiful, beautiful. Can you walk us through what happens when someone first comes to see you for the 3D areola tattooing? What is
Yeah.
the initial conversation like?
So the first we'll do a consultation to see if they're even ready because some people have just had surgery and they have to wait until they fully heal. So that could be anywhere as early as 6 months if they get clearance from their doctor, but usually 6 to 9 months is where they would actually be coming into me. So if we're cleared past that point, one of the hard parts of this too is sometimes we get through all of this and then they go to the doctor and find out their cancer has come back. So that sometimes can be one of the challenges. And I've only had a couple people who've had to cancel their actual appointments for that. But we go through, we pick out the size and the shape. And really, I just feel like, and I could be totally wrong with this, or it's just my assumption, that these women have had a lot of choices taken away from them. So
Mhm.
I want to begin that process of giving them their agency back so that they can make choices about their body that they feel comfortable with. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to choose the wrong color. I'm like, I'll guide you with the right color, but you're still making the choice. So we pick out some colors, we pick out the sizes, and again with the shapes, I'll outline it first so that they can kind of see if they want it a little bit bigger. And I always tell people start a little bit smaller if you're not for sure, because you can always make it bigger. The skin on the breast, though, I have not really found any type of trainings that will remove any of that pigment off that tissue. For some reason, it's just a different tissue, even though it's skin that's taken from like your stomach or somewhere or your thigh. Yeah, that just has been one of the bigger challenges that I find with most people. So start small, you can always make it bigger. Start lighter, you can always make it darker. You just can't make it lighter once you've made it too dark. So
Mhm.
those are my big tips with that. Then I go through, I tattoo them. I do like an outline first and then I numb. So what I find though is people who've had a deep flap, they really don't feel anything. If you've had nipple reconstruction, I have only had a few people who have had sensation come back. I don't promise that to people because I'm like, that may not actually be the thing. Because, it's really the process is that you have lost all feeling in that area. But I have had people who have had some feeling come back in. And then we tattoo in the color. Once you approve everything after I get done too, you can tell me if you like it, if you feel like it just needs to be a little bit darker, something like that. I'll put on a Tegaderm strip, which is basically like a clear plastic band-aid. So put that on and then you wear that for 3 days. And then it's going to look like coffee water, kind of, if you have any type of fluids that come out. Then in the shower, you're going to rinse that out and then you're going to let the rest of it heal without anything on top of it. I do give you a healing cream that you'll put on, and it's a 2 week healing process. And after that, you're good to go. I do tell people no heavy sweating because the salt from your sweat can help to pull out some of that pigment and it can cause an infection because you have an open wound. So no heavy sweating, working out, no saunas, no laying out in the sun. And then outside of that, you're really pretty free to kind of go. There's not a huge amount of maintenance with the aftercare. It's really just keep it covered so that the sun will drastically fade it. So that's why you just don't want to get it out in the sun. And then they'll come back in 6 weeks and your body's probably going to push out about 20-30% of the pigment. And then I just reinforce anything in there. So if it's a medium to darker color, it will usually last anywhere from 5 to 7 years. And then if you're on the lighter scale, you might get 3 to 5 years. And it's just because it's a lighter, it's not as much pigment that's really going to be retaining in there. But that's how often somebody would probably have to come back in to get a touch up.
So, when you're engaging with folks, how do you balance this process of precision with holding space for the trauma that they're going through and the healing that they're going through?
I always say one of my superpowers is, well, to hope and empathy. I don't think it's something that you can teach really to somebody, but I think you just have to care about people. You have to read their body language. You have to hear some of the words that they're saying. As I'm talking to people, if I can see that they don't necessarily want to talk, maybe they don't have the words to say, things like that, just give them the time and the space to do that. Or if I need to just stop tattooing for a second and let them breathe through everything that they need to breathe through. I think they call it trauma informed care. I did take some training on that too. But I really just think it's reading people and listening. And I do that already with my hair clients. And it's so funny because I've learned how to read them so well that when they ask for certain things and I'm like, no. And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, because you're not gonna like that." And I know how you'll be in a couple weeks. So I do enjoy that part of getting to know people and really just seeing how they process and operate. But to me, I don't know if it's really a balance versus just something that just comes naturally to me, just to care about people.
So, have you experienced moments where the work that you are doing completely shifted how you see the human body and its resilience?
Yeah, I mean, these women have gone through, and everybody's story is so different. Like I had one lady who she had got botched up by somebody and had to go to another doctor, and he referred her to me to get her final done. And sometimes we're very quick to tell people because we don't know their story. Just get over it. You should be okay. Just these words and phrases that we say to people and we have no idea what they've gone through. And some people can't even listen to what somebody has gone through. And I'm like, they've actually lived it. You can't even take just listening to the story about it. So we are very resilient and we go through a lot and process a lot. And sometimes what I really enjoy is allowing them to have the space to process that because I hear a lot of, oh, I was so weak, or I couldn't believe, I did this and this, and, just beating themselves up a lot over different things. And it's like, hey, you didn't ask for this. This isn't something that you really could choose. You have to face it every day. And some days are not going to be good days. And give yourself that grace. Live in the space, have your tears, have your silent time. That is totally okay. And I think that's the phrase that I tell people. I'm like, give yourself permission. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, give yourself permission.
Beautiful. So, have you seen how losing a part of the body affects a person's sense of self? And do you have any examples of people that you could share? Of course, maintaining confidentiality of a before and after that really touched your heart.
Yeah, there was a woman who came in and she was, again, demeanor. And sometimes you can't even explain what their demeanor was, but it was just a very quiet demeanor. And she was kind of very even keel. And she was with her husband. And when she came in and I was working on her after I got done, I mean, really, as I was working on her, she says, you know what? The hardest part of this was coming in. And she said, I'm so glad I did. And so she's starting like to liven up the more I get done. And she's just looking down like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So when I went to go get her husband, she just, and I wish I would have had a camera at this point, but she hopped out and she shimmied at him. And he just was like, they look so great. But the thing with her was we would never on a regular day just go out and show anybody our breasts, our nipples and our areolas, right? She's like, I'm gonna go show everybody this. And she literally did. And I had clients that I didn't even know interacted with her. And they were like, I saw them. They look so great. But the confidence is what gets me, that these women literally have confidence to go out and flash people. And it's not even like in their mind that they're flashing their breast. Like they're flashing a piece of art that they're excited about, you know? So that's really how I see a shift in people. And I love the friends and the husbands or spouses that are supportive, because I even did a male and his wife was like right there, with them. And even his shift, they just come back completely different by the time they come back for their touch up in 6 weeks. I mean, I just see a huge shift.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I understand also you have the Leah Love Spark Beauty Fund. Tell us about that.
So the Leah Love Spark Beauty Fund really just launched this year. So we are in full scale fundraising mode. And my goal with that is I was one of those people who just needed an opportunity. And so initially we wanted to give out scholarships for cosmetology students. But what I was realizing is that there are a lot of people who want the tattooing, but finance, because most people do private pay, finance is a barrier. And I didn't want that to be a barrier to confidence for people who have already gone through so much. My goal, hopefully, is to get insurance to cover it, because if you've had breast cancer by law, it is included in getting your insurance to cover that. But it can be a huge hassle after you leave the hospital and after you've had all those procedures done. Some people, one of the things they have to look for is that if they met their deductible for the year, and let's say they have the surgery in like October and they hit their deductible, but they're not eligible to get the tattoo until February or March, they have to reach their deductible again the next year in order to get that covered by insurance. So
Mm,
really it's a timing game as well. But if that's something that I can be able to help take off the stress for, that's what I want to do. But that's what the fund is designed to do, to provide free areola tattooing and scar camouflage to people. And I had a client who had survived breast cancer several times. And on her last battle, I just remember she asked me to come do her nails, and I did her nails, and she was just like, I just don't want to be forgotten. I feel like people have forgotten me. And so I named it after her to make sure that people wouldn't forget about her. And she was just such a beautiful soul. So she was a huge fighter. She never let me quit and give up with things. She helped me out whenever she could. So I want to honor her in that way.
Beautiful. Thank you. The Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast is sponsored by Moyo Institute Incorporated, a nonprofit organization offering heart-centered educational experiences, and the Lloyd Symington Foundation, which supports visionary grassroots cancer programs. So, how would you define beauty in the context of your work with cancer survivors?
I think people look at beauty as just surface of what you see, but when you get kind of to the soul of somebody, when you've kind of been stripped of everything, just to see strength and courage, like that's beauty to me. People who go through surgery after surgery after surgery and then still keep a little spark. That's beauty to me. So I think it can be defined in so many ways. It's definitely a renewed definition for me outside of, my traditional making some hair pretty and makeup that makes you so pretty, just beyond a brush and a makeup brush
Yeah.
and a hairbrush.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, is there a difference between cosmetic enhancement and restorative healing? And does it matter? Is there a distinction? And if so, does that distinction matter?
You said cosmetic.
Enhancement.
Yes, there is a difference between cosmetic enhancements and restorative healing or services. I think cosmetic enhancement, when I think of that, I'm thinking more of like implants that are just for, I don't want to say vanity, but for cosmetic, right? I don't need them. I just want them. If I'm getting any type of plastic surgery just because I want it, it's not a necessity. Restorative healing is out of necessity. There is something that has been shifted or removed that needs to be restored, and that is just a complete difference from a wanting of a cosmetic service.
Mhm. Speaking of that, you mentioned in our earlier conversation that you're soon going to be doing breast molds.
Yeah, prosthetic breasts.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal with that is when somebody gets that call, I want them to call me next and I want to make a mold of their breast and make a replica of that. So, they can have that while they're going through their journey and they can look over and have that hope as they're going through. Because I think a big thought process is, what am I going to look like afterwards? How am I going to feel? How am I going to envision myself newly? And part of all of that work is really preparing. And how is that going to look? So there's these little things called cakes, and they're little like nipple covers, breast covers. But I tell people that they can get those and put them on so that they can get a sense of what it will look like with nothing there. And so I find like if you're prepared for things, you can accept that challenge better. So they have the areola and the nipple there for afterwards. If they want to get the tattoo, they can get the tattoo. If not, they can wear the prosthetic breast mold. Because some people, I just did a lady and she did not get any type of reconstruction because of whatever type of cancer it was, how aggressive it was. They could not do any more reconstruction on her. So she was just left flat. And that was a whole new thing I learned too. They call them flatty baddies. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole community. I love it. But I made her some prosthesis. So she was able to have some nipples and areolas. So I'm just doing like more finishing up my research and design, I should say. The goal with that is to have it launched by the end of next month, if not by the end of this month.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So you talk about colliding passion with purpose. And what I hear when I listen to you speak about this work so eloquently and so passionately and full of compassion, I must say, that I think I know what you're talking about. But do you want to share how these forces work together in your daily practice?
I think at the end of the day, I'm just a helper. And because I love to learn so much, my passion for knowledge and my passion for beauty and my passion for business and my passion for empowering women helps me serve my purpose of just helping people through whatever challenges that they're going through. And I love the fact that I'm not limited to one specific area that I can help people. I think one of my friends asked me one day was, well, what else are you going to do? You going to do something else next? And I said, well, my mission has always been to help people. I said, how I do it may change, but it's still always going to be helping women and helping them love who they see in the mirror. So, however I do that in whatever capacity, I will. And I'm just thankful that, like I said, I get to do it by either helping them learn how to grow their business, get breasts, get brows, get hair, volunteering with different places. I just
Mhm.
love it.
Be happy.
Be happy. Be happy.
Exactly.
Smile. And I mean, because it really is, it's hard to look in the mirror and not like who you are. And I want people to really love who they are, flaws and all. And that's a process. It's a process, but there's some spaces that don't help you cultivate that. And I want to be one of those spaces that does help you cultivate that.
Beautiful. It's very consistent with our workshops, the love letters to our bodies, and the podcast too, because the whole inspiration was to really help women who are going through these physical changes really look deeper, look at all the resources that are available, do some inner work as well to be able to look in the mirror and feel good about
Mhm.
oneself.
I'm a big advocate for therapy. I will tell people in a heartbeat, go see a therapist. It's part of the work of you. And I don't know where I would be without it. I didn't even realize I was grieving my dad. My sister was like, you need to go talk to a therapist. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. And that's the process journey we have to go through, right? And it doesn't mean that you're crazy. It just means you have pieces of your puzzle that aren't fitting. And you need somebody to help you figure out where those go. And so I got the help to figure out where those needed to go. And I'm so grateful I did.
And, you have my thoughts and prayers about your dad's passing as well. So, how do you care for yourself? You're in this space where you're holding space for people and you're working with their pain and their vulnerability. And even though I hear you uplifting them and giving them reasons to smile, do you find that you need to do more self care in the process?
Yeah, because I can internalize a lot of things, but I have been learning how to have more boundaries. But I don't know, when you care about people, just you can't help but think about them as you go home. Did I do this? Did I not do that? Call them the next day. Is everything okay? But I travel. I love traveling. That's how I reset. That's how I rest. When I go to my conferences, even though it's still work and I'm learning, learning re energizes me. So I'm an introvert by nature and I can only people so much. I always tell people.
You and me both.
So, I get my classes and I can just learn and I can just process it and just sit in my hotel room and just be okay.
Yeah, that's really great. So, where's someplace that you went recently that was re-energizing for you?
Earlier this year, I went to London, and actually, the lady who I had learned about the tattooing about from the UK, I just finally decided to go over there, and I was like, I just got to learn from her, and I really was happy I did. She was a really good educator, and then I was able to get some travel time into London and Paris, and I'll be going to St. Lucia sometime here soon
Beautiful, beautiful. I
for some
hear
rest.
you 100%. I mean, I find that if you have a basic curiosity about life and others, that there's always opportunities to learn and grow,
Absolutely.
and as you say, it's energizing and I love that.
Mhm.
So, how has being TT to your nephews influenced your perspective on body image and self acceptance? Or has it?
I don't think it has yet because they're not near that age yet where they are thinking about those things. So they just challenge me every minute and keep me sharp, keep me focused.
Okay. So, what would you want every person to know about their body's inherent worth?
I think that it's invaluable. I think that just because you're different, you're not deficient. And just really consider yourself priceless and unique. My mom always said I was peculiar. So I strive in being different and not being
Mhm.
the same as everyone around. So I value that. So I guess take that space and time to find out why you value yourself and how you value yourself.
Beautiful. And do you have any suggestions for the role that beauty professionals play in healthcare and healing?
Beauty professionals or the healthcare industry?
Beauty professionals.
I would just say that beauty professionals are highly, highly involved in the quality of life after it's saved. And I don't know if they realize, because I did not realize how big of a role that was, again, in that restorative care and how you're talking to your clients, how you're treating them, how you're allowing them to process different things, even engaging and finding out what their story is. I don't know if a lot of people still take that time to find out what somebody's background is and just who they are. And sometimes it takes people like a couple sessions to get to know you to even open up for that too. So, just not forcing people to, but just giving them that space with that.
If you could change one thing about how our society views bodies that have been changed by medical necessity, what would it be?
I remember sitting in church and the pastor was up there talking about, I think he talked about wigs or something like that. And then he had a panel of women who came up, and the one woman, she got up there, she says, "Well, I had cancer and I wear a wig out of medical necessity." And she said, "We have to stop even addressing the fact that someone is wearing a wig because you don't know the why of why they're wearing it." So I think that one of the things we have to do, well, you're going to have to be your own advocate. Not everything is about vanity. Some things are medically necessary, but even if something is for vanity, I will tell people God created lipstick. If you want to wear that lipstick and feel good, wear that lipstick and feel good. If you need a wig to feel good, life is too short not to have these things that were created to help you have the confidence that you need. I will be the biggest cheerleader and advocate. So, whether they want to call it vanity, medically necessary, if you need it to feel okay to show up in this world, use it. That's what it's here for.
I like that. I like that very much. We do tend to be so narrow in our thinking about things, and we've been so conditioned in, various beliefs from childhood to
Mhm.
judge others. And I really love what you just said. So,
Yeah, that's giving yourself permission.
exactly, exactly. So, if you were to write a love letter to the bodies that you work with, these brave, resilient bodies that have survived cancer, what would one or two sentiments be?
I think the main sentiment I love to tell people is just that you might think that cancer has taken everything, taken certain things, but in reality, they aren't really gone. Just like in surgery, sometimes things get moved around. I think that in this journey, it could have just got moved around and it's just waiting on you to tap back into it. So there's things that are still there, that are still you, your strength, your courage, your bravery, your spirit, your soul, all of those things are still there and they're not gone. They're still there. And you can get them back as soon as you're ready to go down that path to get them back.
I like that you said that. I was actually listening to a woman in one of our workshops who had a double mastectomy, and she said that I feel like everything that defines me as a woman has been removed. I don't know who I am. And so I
Mhm.
was saying to her, these are your most external expressions of your womanhood, but who you are as a woman is also internal. It's your intuition, it's your caring natures, your mothering natures, your giving natures, your different leadership styles, right? So that we have these inner resources that we may forget to tap into. So she found
And
that out.
when you say that, one of the thought processes I've been trying to wrap my mind around is those who have religious backgrounds that they don't want to get the areola tattooing because it goes against their religion, or even implants or things like that because they go against their religion. So those are the ones that I kind of struggle with, that I would love to get more insight from people who have that as a reason why not to, but they still struggle with their body image. So I don't know. That's a challenge for me. I don't know how to help address that, because I want to say get one of the two to help you. But if that's not an option, then I don't know where I end up being for another solution. So if you ever come across anybody who has that as a background, I would love to talk to them again more so I could see where I could be of a help.
Okay, that would be great. Also, some concern is about pigments used in tattooing. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, just make sure that they're using REACH compliant pigments, which are of the highest standard. They're safe for skin. Those are like the highest quality ones that you can use on the market. And they should
Beautiful,
know if they have REACH compliant pigments.
beautiful, beautiful. So, what legacy do you want to leave?
I just want people to know that I cared and that I made this world a little different while I was here, a little better. I guess a little bit more beautiful.
I would say so. Indeed. So, before we close, if there are any practical guidelines, I think you mentioned that people need to wait 6 to 9 months and get clearance from their physician. Are there any specific questions that they need to be asking?
If they're going into reconstruction, just about the different types of reconstruction, they may want to research the doctor that they're going to, because if it's a doctor that only specializes in one type of reconstruction, they're usually going to kind of guide you more towards that. So I would just make sure you research all of them, where you could have like a deep flap. I think the tram, those are all different types of where they take tissue from other parts of your body and bring it in, and you can get your implants. And there's like a couple other ones that people can get. So I would just say research those thoroughly and ask the doctors which ones are the best options for you. I would never tell anybody which one to get, but I can tell them as follow up. And this is good too, if they talk to people who've had different ones, what were their pros and cons. A lot of people like the feel of like a deep flap, but if you don't have enough fat or tissue, that may not be an option for you. But they like that kind of feel versus the implant, because the implant tends to be a little bit harder. But, again, it just depends on which one that you like and what's, again, recommended by your doctor as well. So I would just take all of those into consideration so you can make a fully informed decision by the time you get ready to make the decision for whichever one is right for you.
Okay, wonderful. This has been so wonderful, Dr. Love. It's been just a joy and a pleasure to have an opportunity to share this space with you and to really just amplify the beautiful work that you're doing in the world and to say, keep it up, continue to grow, expand, reach out. We'll do our part in sharing what you're doing with others.
Well,
Make sure that your website and your LinkedIn information and Instagram, if you have it, is in the show notes. So,
thank
yeah, I just
thank
want
you so
to,
much for having me and for this platform and allowing, people's stories to be shared and the voices and opinions to be amplified. Like you said, we really don't always get enough of that. So I appreciate you being able to continue sharing that with the world.
beautiful. Thank you so much. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to Love Letters to Our Bodies, conversations on health, healing, and happiness. To find out more about the Love Letters to Our Bodies project, visit our website at moyoinstitute.org. That's MOYO Institute.org. Follow us on social media and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. If there are topics you'd like for us to discuss, let us know. Remember, your body is beautiful, girlfriend. Love it.